Well, hi everyone, and welcome to Sarno here in the southwest of Italy. We're about half an hour's drive south of Naples, Napoli. The big event here, the CIK FIA World Championship for the KZ class, the principal class for 125cc shifter karts. Last year this was won by Max Verstappen. Now, of course, 7 days ago, he made his debut in Formula One. Well, it's the Sarno circuit, very picturesque at the foot of Mount Vesuvius, another famous location nearby, ancient Pompeii, only about half an hour away. The KZ class, the principal class, but we have two supporting classes, KZ2 International Supercup, they're the drivers on the circuit now, and also the third and final round of the CIK FIA Academy Trophy for the youngsters. Well, our first final of the day, the KZ2 International Super Cup final. These are the drivers that made it from the two pre-finals this morning. You're looking there at 113 Alessio Piccini of Italy. Nice shot of the opening grid. The two pre-finals this morning yielded a little bit of heartache. It also yielded some really superb racing, not least of course by Menno Power, the driver who's going to start this one on pole position, and fellow Dutchman Ryan Vanderberg, who you just see there pulling the, well, not the face mask, that's not the right expression, the fire retardant top. Kart number 112 that you're looking at there is Dylan Davis, another Dutchman. Dylan Davis starting this one a little bit further down the grid than his front row starters from the Netherlands. Menno Power on pole and Ryan Vanderberg on the off-pole position. Dylan Davis back on row 12. 179 that you see there is Luca Tilocca. Luca Tilocca, one of the front-running Italians. He is fourth from the start on that one. Luca Tilocca very much involved in the pre-finals. Nice little wave there from the driver, I think, on the fifth row, Jan Modala from the Czech Republic. Okay, let's have a look at the pre-finals. This was pre-final one. It was won by Menno Power, who takes pole position today, but he had to work hard for this one. 107 Menno Power, and there was a lot of trouble at the early start of that. I think about 8 drivers not able to continue from pole position. We had the Spaniards, Jorge Carlos Pescador. There's a nice move by kart number 107, Menno Power. At that stage, he was moving up into third place. Here's his move up into second place at the expense of kart 120, Jorge Pescador. And a little bit later on, Menno Power was able to make his move to the front. When he got to the front, he was chased hard by Andreas Hansen, but nobody able to get past him. And there is Andreas Hansen in kart 106 going into second place in the pre-final. Not able to get to, well, the challenge from 145 that you saw there, I think it was Pedro Hiltbrand, 146 rather, and the two Spaniards going particularly well. There's a nice move by Andreas Hansen, kart number 106, getting himself ultimately into second place. This was the chase at the end between Menno Power in the big lead. Well, not so much a chase behind Menno Power, that was really the chase by Andrea Daley in third place, kart 106. Kart 101 chasing down 106, Andreas Hansen. There is Menno Power. He's driving in the distinctive colours of the Birel TM. There's the checkered flag, and that's how Menno Power won the pre-final one from Andreas Hansen and Andrea Daley. Top 17 of those went to the final, and they're in there as well. And of course we had another 17 come from pre-final 2. Pre-final 2 saw another Dutchman dominating, this time Ryan Vanderberg. Ryan Vanderberg is on the right hand side of your screen. He's in kart number 115. Nice shot there of kart number 129. That's Andreas Bachmann. Andreas Bachmann, who lives close to the Arctic Circle in the north of Sweden. 189 in shot now is Filip Orcic from Canada. So another guy who knows what it's like to be cold in winter from the northern hemisphere. Filip Orcic, the Canadian, driven particularly well throughout this event. Well, the last minute well-wishers. Guys getting into the karts. The energy kart of Francesco Cialenta. Francesco Cialenta starting a little bit further down the grid on row 9. This will be an 18-lap race over 30 kilometres, just over 30 kilometres. And as you can see, the start line is, well, the tram lines for the two levels, just a little bit, the two columns, just a little bit out of the straight. Nice shot there of Bachmann, cart number 129. Number 129, Andreas Bachmann. 103. A little bit further back is Fabian Federer. Fabian Federer started the pre-final on pole position, but finished back in, I think, 6th place in his pre-final. Starts in P12 alongside Pedro Hiltbrand, who's going to be a little bit disappointed, having gone really, really well early on, to only be starting this one on row 6. Well, to your left is Menno Power. He's a Dutchman. He drives a Birel chassis powered by a TM motor. Alongside him, Ryan Vanderberg drives a DR chassis powered by the TM motor. A little bit of time for nerves. Lorenzo Campese there. He's on a Maranello, as you can see on the front of his torso. Lorenzo Campese on the outside of row 2 drives a Maranello, also powered by a TM. But the only TM on the front, the only non-TM on the front 2 rows is Andreas Hansen of Denmark in cart 106 on the inside of the second row. So the formation lap, which takes us, or one of 2 formation laps, I should say, which takes us to the start. Menno Power and Ryan Vanderberg, an all-Dutch front row. Hansen of Denmark joins Campese of Italy on row 2. An all-Italian row 3. Daley and Pollini. The Spaniards, Pescador is on row 4 with Tilocca of Italy. And Hiltbrand is on row 6 with Federer of Italy. Joey Wimsett from the United States of America. Good to have the North Americans with us. He's on row 7, just in front of another North American, Filip Orcic, who we saw moments ago. Fasberg of Denmark on row 10. He had to start all of his heats in last place, but worked through from the back. An extremely efficient effort by him. Disappointment for 2 more Dutchmen. Jordi van Moorsel, Dylan Davis would have expected better than the 11th and 12th row starts, but hey, can be done. Thomas Laurent was so impressive, the Frenchman, but it's gone wrong for him. And Cook S is Sabre Cook, the only lady in the race, from Grand Junction Motor Speedway, Colorado, in the United States of America. Well, we always say good luck to all of the drivers, but I sometimes say a special good luck to the driver starting in last place, and certainly if it's a lady from a different continent, let's say good luck to Sabre Cook. But having said good luck to her, we do wish the best of fortune to everyone. She starts on on row 17 with Andreas Bachmann of Sweden. We saw him a little bit earlier, and he's the guy who lives in the very north of Sweden, very close to the Arctic Circle. Well, we've not got Arctic Circle race conditions or weather conditions here. It's a very, very hot day in the southwest of Italy. Close to 30 degrees, very little breeze here at the Sarno circuit. We're in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius, and it makes for a very scenic setting. But right now, not many of these guys are looking at the scenery. The whole focus is on this 1,699 metre circuit here at Sarno. Many, many big events have been held here. You're looking at cart number 115 there, which is Ryan Vanderberg, who will start in the off-pole position. Standing starts for the gearbox karts. The principal category here, where the World Championship will be raced for later this afternoon, is KZ or KZ1. These are the KZ2s. This is just the second level of gearbox karting, shifter karting, that we race in the world on these short circuits. 125cc, 6-speed gearbox karts. Big crowd here, as you can see, on top of that CRG awning there. The Bridgestone flag flying, the CIK FIA flags flying. But hey, we're not talking about flags, we're talking about drivers. Menno Power is on your left. Ryan Vanderbilt is on your right. Watch the bottom left of your screen for the lights that the drivers will see. We're racing, and Menno Power has, I think, been slightly outgunned by Ryan Vanderberg, but the turn one comes to the advantage of the pole sitter, as indeed it should. Good start by Andreas Hansen, but Ryan Vanderberg and Menno Power having a really good scrap at the start immediately. Menno Power conceding the lead to kart 115 Ryan Vanderberg, who I did suggest had outgunned him initially. I thought that turn one came to the aid of Menno Power and that the poleman would lead at the opening, but it's fellow Dutchman Ryan Vanderberg. They're not in the same team, but getting themselves well away. The Maranello of Lorenzo Camplesi is in third place. He's the Italian, and these opening laps, or the opening lap of these 18 racing laps, giving us a nice clean start, which is what we like to see. We had mayhem in the pre-final on the first turn, and that's always a bit of a shame for drivers whose hopes have evaporated after less than 10 seconds racing. Ryan Vanderberg on the DR, which stands for Danilo Rossi. Danilo Rossi, 5 times a world champion, and he is here in person. He'll be pleased to see a DR chassis in the lead, but it's being pursued by a Birel of Ryan Vanderbilt. Lorenzo, of the Birel of Menno Power. Lorenzo Camplesi in third place on the Maranello. Andreas Hansen of Denmark running fourth. Pescador is fifth. The Spaniard Loris Spinelli has gone through in sixth place. Another Italian, Giacomo Pollini, is seventh. Luca Tilocca is eighth. The second Spaniard, Pedro Hiltbrand, ninth. And Joey Wimsett from Oregon in northwest of the United States, making the top 10 at number 10. The Canadian Filip Orcic just dropped a few places at the start. He's running 14th, as our caption shows you. Dylan Davis making a little bit of a better start, despite that disappointment. Zdenek Groman of the Czech Republic completing the top 20. Thomas Laurent of France already completing his climb up to 21st. And Saber Cook, who started 33rd, the lady from Grand Junction Motor Speedway, I love saying that, Grand Junction Motor Speedway, Colorado, up to 29th. But hey, it's the front of the race that really counts, isn't it? And at the end of lap 2, Ryan Vanderbilt has this lead over Menno Power. Camplesi still in third place, Hansen still fourth, Pescador fifth, Spinelli in sixth place. There was no change of place in the top 6. However, Luca Tilocca moved up from 8th to 7th on lap 2. Pollini is now 8th, Hildebrand is 9th, and Kenny Charles of Belgium moves up into the top 10. Kenny Charles of Belgium into the top 10, displacing the American Joey Wimsett. Joey Wimsett, a multi-domestic champion in the United States, although not in KZ2 class, I don't believe. Now, Menno Power, although he won his pre-final from pole position, he did a lot of his work in the heats, coming from behind. He shows that he's got the speed to pass the guy in front, so the fact that Menno Power is second at this stage is no kind of disaster for him. This is only lap 3 of 18. In close order in third place, Lorenzo Camplesi. And these front 3 just pulling away a little bit from the other drivers. Now, an 18-lap race is 30+ kilometers, so it's very, very early days. However, if 3 drivers can get away working with themselves, pulling themselves away from the rest of the chasing pack, it can be harder and harder and harder as the laps roll by to pull them back. Ever so slightly out of shape there by Ryan Vanderberg, I thought, just on the limit a little. That was much smoother, wasn't it? Saw really there how clean the lines were that Ryan Vanderberg was taking there. Did mention earlier today in the pre-final that Ryan Vanderberg started the pre-final in third place. In fact, he was winning one of his heats by a big margin on the last lap, and his motor gave him problems on the last lap, and he was a non-finisher. But for that, he would have been a front row starter, and it may even have been easier for him in the pre-final. Well, all of that has gone. Right now it's the final, and he leads. But Menno Power, his fellow Dutchman, putting on the pressure, as you can see. Behind Menno Power, Lorenzo Camplesi of Italy still going well. Kenny Charles, who came up into the top 10, has now slipped out of the top 10. It's Pedro Hiltbrand of Spain now running in 10th place. Zdenek Groman of Czech Republic got up to 18th place a little bit. Mike Seebecker 22nd and Sam Webster 23rd. They'll be disappointed. Went much, much better, both of them, particularly Sam Webster in the heats. Fabian Federer was a front runner in all of the preliminaries. He's 27th in the final. That's a big disappointment for Fabian Federer. Started on the 6th row here in the final on a CRG Maxter. We're on lap 5 of 18. Here under the beautiful sunshine in Sarno. Menno Power's not thinking of sunshine. He's thinking, have I prized a little opening? As Federico Cialenta sets a fastest lap, and momentarily Menno Power taking the lead, but not able to stop the speed exit from that turn by Ryan Vanderberg. So that momentary little trade of places nominally, it's back to where you were. And of course, Lorenzo Camplesa in 3rd place, able to say, look, I'll take closer order if you two are going to do silly things. In fact, Lorenzo Camplesa in 3rd place himself now, looking for an opening on Menno Power. So an interesting mindset now for Menno Power in 2nd place. He does not want Ryan Vanderberg to get away from him, but he can't make an extravagant move because Camplesa in 3rd place, as you can see, really close. And behind Camplesa, Jorge Carlos Pescador of Spain in that very apparent, easy to recognize blue Perilla. And there is the move. There is the move by Camplesa past Menno Power, and Menno Power having to give 2nd best and going from 2nd to 3rd on lap 6 of 18 in the final of the KZ2 International Super Cup. Meanwhile, while that little piece of manoeuvring was going on, Ryan Vanderberg just builds a little bit on his lead. The lead was 0.38 of a second at the end of the 5th lap, and with that passing manoeuvre, oh, it's really good racing, isn't it? This is Menno Power chasing back against Lorenzo Camplesa. 1,699 metres this track, call it 1,700 metres. It's longer than average. It's 9 metres in width. There's plenty of speed on this straight that they're turning onto now. This is a long, fast straight. Not quite absolutely arrow straight, but fast enough to be at full maximum speed. Fastest part of the circuit. Talking of fastest, Pastor Caldi of Italy sets a fastest lap, even though he's only down in 14th place. That was on lap 6. We're on lap 7. Muzio, who is in, I think, 19th place. Yes, he is in 19th place, sets a fastest lap. So there's some fast racing at the lower end of the top 20. But is this a seminal moment in the final of the International KZ2 Super Cup? What do I mean by that? Ryan Vanderberg has got 3/4 of a second advantage. To people who don't race shifter karts, that might not mean an awful lot, but 3/4 of a second takes some fetching back, really does. Kenny Charles, who was in the top 10, drops down to 12th. Thomas Laurent, who was in the lower 20s, climbing up to 16th now. A good effort by him. Webster gets a couple of places to 21st, but Joey Wimsett, who was running in, I think, 8th place at one time, out of the top 20, going to be very disappointed. We're on lap 8 of 18. Ryan Vanderberg's lead was 0.75 of a second, 0.749 if you want to be pedantic, but that looks like a good 3/4 of a second advantage. Menno Power not going to have to allow Lorenzo Camplesa to get away. I'm just looking away from a screen out onto the circuit. Sometimes our television shots, brilliant as they are, brings you the heart of the action, but sometimes it can foreshorten the reality. But no, there's no question that Lorenzo Camplesa is pulling away a little bit from Menno Power. That picture shows it perfectly. So the front three, Owen Spinelli in 4th place has picked up a driving standards flag. Loris Spinelli in kart 201, running in 4th place, has got a driving standards flag, a warning, a public warning. To those of you not familiar with international karting, that's like a yellow card in football. So Lorenzo Spinelli has got another 11 laps to race, including the one that they're on. Mustn't put a foot wrong from here, or put a wheel wrong. Oh, and a little bit out of shape there by 126 Camplesa, as you saw, and the result of that is that Menno Power gets a little bit closer and Ryan Vanderberg gets a little bit further away. Well, Ryan Vanderberg has by no means a winning lead at this stage, but 0.8 of a second, and causing minor driver errors on the chasing guys behind him, puts you in a very healthy position. At the end of this lap, it will be the half race distance. Remember, this is a 30 kilometers race, just over 30 kilometers, and it's over 18 laps of this circuit here at Sarno in the foothills of Vesuvius. Beautiful setting, and if you happen to have 0.8 of a second lead halfway through a final, a reminder that this is for a very prestigious title, the International Supercup. The CIK FIA, the world governing body in motorsport, is the FIA. The CIK is the karting arm of the FIA. So the highest level of racing, and we are getting an International Supercup winner here this afternoon. Complacey in second place, setting a fastest lap, as you can see from the graphic. So this is a title very much worth racing for. In the meantime, Ryan Vanderberg's lead is reduced by Complacey's fastest lap, as it would be if he sets the fastest lap, from 0.8 to 0.66. So this is lap 10 of 18 as we move into the second half of the race. Andreas Hansen running 8th now. Pedro Hiltbrand 9th. Thomas Laurent only in 15th place, the Frenchman, but he's worked hard from the lower end of the top 30, climbing up to, was it 14th place, 15th place just there. Luca Caberi going to be disappointed with 18th, and Fabian Federer even more disappointed with 25th place. I think those guys that you're seeing on screen caption now have to concede that their race is, well, those of them, they're out of, those on the final caption were out of the race. Seebeck, Caputo, Sherman, Vigano, the only lady in the race, sadly, Saber Cook, and one of our favourites at the start, Andrea Daley, all out before we hit the second half of the race. But we concentrate on the positive here, and I hope you're enjoying our screen pictures, bringing you the heart of the action. This is kart number 115, Ryan Vanderberg. He's driving a DR chassis, powered by a TM motor. He's being chased by Lorenzo Complacey, who's driving a Maranello chassis, as Andreas Hansen sets the fastest lap in 8th position. Incidentally, I didn't call in commentary, Luca Tilocca of Italy has moved up to 4th place at the expense of Loris Spinelli of Italy, who drops to 5th. And we did remind you that Loris Spinelli has picked up a driving standards flag. So it's not been a good couple of laps for Loris Spinelli, dropping a place in the final and picking up the yellow warning flag. Nice shot there of kart number 126, which is Lorenzo Complacey in the Maranello racing suit, always easy to identify, bright at any time and even more bright on a summer's day. Kart number 107 that you saw there was Menno Power, but Menno Power just dropping a little bit. You can see just how much Menno Power there in shot now is detached from the front runners Ryan Vanderberg and Lorenzo Complacey. At the moment here in Italy, it's Netherlands leading Italy, but Complacey, as I take my eyes off the screen, I always hesitate to do that for things going wrong. Federer's fastest lap. Now, nice piece of passing that we saw that down there from a little bit further downfield. I didn't call that in commentary. I think that was the Tilocca Spinelli move that we referred to. Just try and see who has been going quickest. Well, Complacey is going quicker than Ryan Vanderberg on a fairly consistent basis. We're talking minimal. We're talking thousandths of a second. But this is lap 12 of 18. And it can be a wearing down process, can't it? 115 that you see in shot is Ryan Vanderberg, a Dutchman. Rather tall of stature for kart racers. There's no real reason why very tall people shouldn't be racing karts. Simas Judaversius of Lithuania is 2 meters tall and a European champion. But if you're just a little bit smaller, the balance in the kart can be better. As you can see there, Lorenzo Complacey in second place. Just, oh, and that's another nice piece of passing there. And I think that was Cilenta in kart number 167. Let me just try and do a double check. That may be an inaccurate call. He's on the Energy TM, and I thought that was an Energy chassis. We're on lap 13, that picture of our replay, giving you a nice picture of the way that move was executed, even if we didn't say with absolute certainty who that was. This is lap 13, and Ryan Vanderberg's lead over Complacey is now below 0.4 of a second. And whilst I'm completely neutral in calling my commentary, this could be a grandstand finish, couldn't it? Because Ryan Vanderberg had twice the lead that he has at the moment. So it's all coming down. This is 2/3 race distance just passed, heading towards the final quarter of the race. We've got 6 laps remaining, including the one that they're on. Well, that was the end of lap 13. So now it's 5 laps remaining. 5 laps. Those are the drivers at the bottom of your screen that are out of the competition now. And this at the front of the screen, on screen at the moment, are the guys. Oh, and another fastest lap by Lorenzo Camplesi. So the message for Ryan Vanderberg is, Ryan, you've got 0.3 of a second lead, 0.33, but the driver behind you has set the fastest lap of the race on 3 of the last 4 laps, and he's chasing down hard. 5 laps to go, including the one they're on. Fabian Federer actually now sets the fastest lap. Federer a little bit further downfield, in fact a long way downfield. He's in 24th place. So Fabian Federer has obviously had some issue, but his kart's going very, very quickly. Fabian Federer driving a CRG Maxter. We're looking at the battle for the lead, as you can see. The Dutchman, Ryan Vanderberg, leads. The Italian, Lorenzo Camplesi, is the hunter, if you will, hunting him down, if indeed he's able to hunt him down. Well, we'll show you. There's Menno Power in 3rd place. There's Luca Tilocca 4th. Federico Cilenta in 5th. Andreas Hansen 6th. Pedro Hiltbrand 7th. But we're going to major on these guys. We're on lap 15 of 18. And this does look, it's not guaranteed. Nothing's guaranteed in karting, in motorsport, nor in life, is it? But this does look as if we've got a battle between 2 drivers for the KZ2 International Super Cup CIK FIA Trophy of 2014. The champion in this particular class is Andrea Daley, the European champion, excuse me. He's not going to win the International Super Cup. He went out early on in kart 101, but these 2 guys producing a fabulous scrap. Ryan Vanderberg from the Netherlands. Lorenzo Camplesi from Italy. Let's see if we can see any kind of pressure showing on either of them. I have to say, Ryan Vanderberg, although he's not going as quick as Camplesi, haven't seen a lot of errors in his driving. I think we saw him minimally out of shape at one point. Menno Power going particularly wide there. You would think that his 3rd place is safe and that Menno Power would make it 2 Dutchmen in the top 3 if they finish in this order. When I say this order, I mean with Vanderbilt and Camplesi making the front 2. On lap 16, all to race for. The International Super Cup and the CIK FIA calendar is a very, very prestigious title in KZ shifter kart racing. On these circuits, there's only the World Championship that's any bigger. The world champion last year was Max Verstappen. Look what happened to him in the ensuing 12 months. And these guys trying to follow in his wheel tracks. Ryan Vanderberg still holding the narrow advantage. Lorenzo Camplesi getting really close to him. It's 0.274 of a second at the end of the previous lap. Again, I'm just looking away a little bit. Camplesi's done a 66.04. Vanderberg's fastest 66.098. So Camplesi is that little bit quicker. The good news for Camplesi, you're going quicker than the driver in front. The bad news for Camplesi, the good news for Ryan Vanderberg, there's only 2 laps remaining. This is now the start of lap 17, 16 laps completed. And it looked to me there as if Ryan Vanderberg made a better exit from turn 2. And Ryan Vanderberg now is not being pursued quite as closely by Camplesi as he was. The interval between them at the end of lap 16 of 18 was 0.35 of a second. Ryan Vanderberg does now have a clear advantage. He never didn't have an advantage, if you see what I mean, but he's picked up an extra cushion in the last 3/4 of a lap. And now if Camplesi isn't going to settle for a safe 2nd place, he's got to pull out something really, really, really strong. How much does Lorenzo Camplesi want to try to deny Ryan Vanderberg this title? How much speed does he have? On the previous lap, Camplesi and Ryan Vanderberg were not separated. Therefore, Ryan Vanderberg holding at the moment the ace. Menno Power still 2nd, Tilocca still 3rd, Cilenta I think it is in 5th place, but I can't take my eyes off the front 2. Ryan Vanderberg, as we start the fastest lap, dips his head against the wind resistance. This is the fastest part of the course. This is turn 2, the Senna turn. Can Camplesi find an opportunity to even make a challenge? Can Ryan Vanderberg keep the door closed? There's no defensive driving from Ryan Vanderberg. Ryan Vanderberg is kicking for home. There's no looking over his shoulder. There's no attempting to block, which we sometimes see. There's no closing the door. It's kick for home. Who's got the fastest machine? Whose setup has seen them through to the 18th and final lap, or at least to the end of the 18th and final lap? Ryan Vanderberg in shot is about 500 meters from victory. Complacey now needs to find something absolutely mega. We go through Grifoni 1, 2 and 3. We sweep round now towards the Sarno turn, the right-hander. Ryan Vanderberg only has one more turn to negotiate. Gets himself onto the home straight. It's a drag to the flag, but Ryan Vanderberg wins it. Ryan Vanderberg beats Lorenzo Complacey into second place. Another Dutchman, Menno Power, makes it 2 drivers from Holland in the top 3. Luca Tilocca of Italy 4th. Federico Cilenta of Italy 5th. Andreas Hansen of Denmark 6th. Jorge Carlos Pescador of Spain 7th. Andrea Fasberg of Denmark 8th. And I pause to tell you that Fasberg of Denmark had to start all of his heats in last place, but he makes the top 10 of the final in 8th place. Pedro Hiltbrand makes it 2 Spaniards in the top 10. He came 9th, and the top 10 was completed by Dylan Davis of the Netherlands, making it 3 Dutch drivers in the top 10. Wow, good racing. Hope you enjoyed that. Really, really good racing from the front too. Well, absolutely excellent, excellent racing. Ryan Vanderberg is the 2014 International KZ2 Super Cup winner. But what a great race he was given by Lorenzo Complacey in second place. And Menno Power deserved a place on the podium because he's raced consistently over the whole of the weekend. Really good driving. We mentioned that Fasberg had come from the back of all of the heats. Coberi going to be a little disappointed with 11th. Giacomo Pollini 16th will be disappointed. Laurent of France in 14th place represented a big recovery, but probably still disappointed given what he was doing earlier on. Sam Webster, Filip Orčić. Well, Orčić may be satisfied with a top 20 position. Sam Webster would have hoped for more. Fabian Federer definitely disappointed to finish outside of the top 20. And Joey Wimsett, who'd been driving in the top 10, even in the final, will be disappointed to have fallen away to 23rd. Mike Siebecker of Germany, who went out long before the half race distance, also disappointed. None of these drivers finishers, and Andrea Daley started as a favourite, didn't complete the first lap. Okay, so you see this beautiful setting. Let's have a look at the highlights. Menno Power on pole position, jumping out into what I thought was a lead at turn 1. Well, it was a lead at turn 1, but here when we see them going down to the fastest part of the circuit, 115 Ryan Vanderberg has got himself in front. Now, we thought we're in for a really close battle there. The reality of it was Ryan Vanderberg getting the lead at that early stage. It was a lead he was never going to relinquish. But Menno Power got closer and closer to him, but Complacey in third place wore down Menno Power. It looked a Dutch 1 and 2 at that point. That's the point at which Ryan Vanderberg took advantage, goes forward. Complacey in second place now, Menno Power in third, Tilocca in fourth in this little collection of highlights. Now, this is at about the 1/3 race distance, and you see that the front running 3 have pulled well clear of the rest of the field. 126 is Lorenzo Complacey. That was the nice move that we saw by Spinelli. Spinelli, who did pick up a driving standards flag, I think, at round about the half race distance. No, it's before half race distance. But another nice piece of driving there by the Energy Chassis driver. But it was at the front where we had our main interest. 115 Ryan Vanderberg. At this point, you would not say he's won the race. He certainly hadn't won the race at this point. It was all to be raced for. But when the checkered flag came, there wasn't a lot of distance between them, but he'd beaten Lorenzo Complacey into second place and Menno Power into third place. Well, I told you this is a beautiful circuit. I told you that we're in the foothills of Vesuvius. We're about half an hour's drive from Napoli. It's a glorious, glorious sunshiny day here in the south of Italy. We've just seen a great kart race, victory going to Ryan Vanderberg, and they're the beautiful trophies that will be presented to them a little later on. Not to mention the beautiful ladies who will be involved on the podium. Just looking a little bit further down the field, it was a real disappointment to have lost Andrea Daley. He went out on the opening lap, a little bit of coming together, and unfortunately, the big Italian, he will be able to take some comfort from this because he is the European champion, but hey, it would have been nice to have won the Supercup in Italy. Well, I've said earlier today, I can't tell you the names of any of those ladies. I can't tell you their telephone numbers either. Not because I'm not willing to, I don't know. But if you want something to fill your screen in between races, I guess we could have done worse than that. And there's a really nice picture. Look, Dad giving the little kiddie a kiss. Not sure if he's now sweet. Can we try and read what it says? No, we can't. Wasn't sweet, it was weak. Good to see family sport like that. You can see what a big crowd we have. The international press corps. A lot of these guys we see regularly, week in, week out. Working really hard, doing what they do best. The podium here at Sarno is a mobile podium, and it's swept out or rolled out on wheels. And to the right of your screen, we just saw one of our KSP photographers, photojournalists, Leslie, and the CIK FIA flag waving, showing that there's a little bit of a breeze down there. Franz Schreiner at the middle lower front of your screen is the CIK FIA Circuit Safety Committee Chairman, and he'll be making one of the presentations. It's unusual to have a mobile podium, but this is really good at Sarno. It means that we're able to let all of the people who are in the seats wanting to watch the next race, because the next race follows really quite quickly, the final round of the Academy Trophy for the youngsters, the 12 to 15-year-olds. You can see the grid girls to the left of your screen marching out. You can see the carts on the trolleys being pushed out. You can see the tall gentleman there. Well, that's not a tall gentleman. That was Mr. Kai Oberheider, the tall gentleman, the CIK FIA General Secretary, who I think will be making one of the presentations later in the day. The team representative on the circuit. Well, I'm sorry, I thought I was getting the name of the team representative. Let me explain. On the podium, we call the third place driver, the second place driver, and the winner, and also a representative of the winning team. The winning team, of course, DR SRL of Italy. It might well be Danilo Rossi himself, but I don't know that. Mr. Kai Oberheider, well, I was about to cue him once again, and again we cut to our friends, the photojournalists. Oh, and there's, I think that was that Ben Hanley I can see with his hand on his chin, not looking as if he's the happiest of guys. Don't think it was Ben Hanley. I think he had a problem earlier on. Might have been Matteo Vagano. Well, I can win a race, says Ryan Vanderberg, and I can sprint to the podium if I need to. Told you that Ryan Vanderberg was a big lad. Well, I don't know if any of these ladies want to smile, but if they wanted to smile, it would be welcome. As it is, we're just marking time, getting ourselves to the podium. Ryan Vanderberg, we saw there, cart number 537, is in the Academy Trophy, one of the youngsters in the Paralin FIM grouping. They're coming out next for their final round. Theirs is not a one-off championship. We've raced at 3 events with the Academy Trophy drivers, and their points scored over those, well, it's 6 sets of scores, because they score points in the heats and they score points obviously in the final. And we've got a dramatic finish, just 2 points between the top 2 here, just give you a little pointer to the Academy Trophy. Here we go. We go with the podium. This is Lorenzo Salvi, the circuit commentator, talking in Italian and calling to the podium. In third place from the Netherlands, that's Menno Power. Menno Power has an elder sister who races. Menno Power, though, a little bit better than Eva Vera was. In second place, Lorenzo Camplesi, and your winner was Ryan Vanderberg of the Netherlands. Well, Ryan Vanderberg's smiling now, as well he might. Ripple of applause, and we'll see if the trophies are presented. Menno Power there, worked really hard all weekend, well worth his podium place. National anthem of the Netherlands. Lorenzo Camplesi there, possibly a little disappointed, got very close to winning this, didn't he? But not quite getting there. Well, Ryan Vanderberg looking a little bit expectant, isn't he? A little bit of a pause. There's the third place trophy going to Menno Power. That's been presented by Mr. Franz Schreiner, of Austria. Very nice gentleman. He's the CIK FIA Circuit Safety Committee Chairman. Second place trophy to Lorenzo Camplesi is being presented by Giuseppe Sorrentino, the track owner of this superb circuit here at Sarno. There is Giuseppe Sorrentino, the track owner. Handshakes all round. And the winner's trophy will be presented by Mr. Kees van der Grint of Netherlands. He is the vice president of the CIK FIA, so presenting the trophy, a Dutchman, to the winner, a Dutchman. And nice big cheer there from the Ryan Vanderberg fans. Okay, let's have a look and see. Well, the replay at the moment is just showing the checkered flag, so there is Ryan Vanderberg on the right, feeling the victory. Here is Ryan Vanderberg in full screen, savouring the victory. And the winning team representative is Danilo Rossi. Danilo Rossi, 5 times the world champion. 5 times the world champion, receiving the trophy as a representative of the winning team. Well, these drivers in the international KZ2 Supercup still savouring the final result. Ryan Vanderbilt obviously very happy. Lorenzo Camplesi, I think just that little tinge of disappointment still. You can understand that. He drove a great race into second place. Menno Power, good enough to have been a winner, but made it to the podium. And Danilo Rossi putting a cap on top of the trophy.